Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Ep.3 Chronicles Plus. In the last part, we finally left Lance Village after finishing off the NPC notes over there, and entered our first adventure area, the Ruins of Mundoria. Technically, it could be considered a dungeon because there's enemies about, but I consider it more of an adventure field, whereas the Rasteenie Mine is distinctly a dungeon. This place is a labyrinth combining both the mine itself and the further portions of the Sanctuary Atoll that we started last time. And you can go about this area a couple ways. You can focus on just saving the doctor at first and then coming back here for the books or other things later on, but I'm getting as much done on one trip as I can in this type of place. First up, time for our next tomb.
I'm the priest Tova. It is good that you have come, warrior. Just as Hadal bears the magic of fire, I, priest of wisdom, bear the magic of altar. Each of us can grant you a new power to aid you on your journey. You will need all 6 to strike at the heart of evil.
So as that statue just covered, there are in total 6 different spells for us to use throughout the game. We need to use at least 4 of them to finish the game. I've never been too certain if you actually do need to find all 6 to finish it, though. I'll see if I can find anything more about that between now and the second pass of editing. But by and large, if you're looking around all the corners, you're going to find them all anyway, more than likely. So Rasteenie Mine is pretty comparable to the abandoned mine from Asteria in Ys 1, and that's very dark and very cramped. However, whereas that area was like 3 floors that are relatively large, this is several subfloors that are much smaller in comparison. It's a mattock. It looks usable. And here we get a mattock, which I'm actually not certain if there's a difference between that and a pickaxe, but I'm going to keep calling it a pickaxe just in case there isn't. I hope future me isn't disproving me right now. We needed to find that in order to progress in here, so you really gotta check a lot of these rooms to actively find everything. There are full maps of every dungeon if you need a visual representation of them over on, I think, GameFAQs, NeoSeek, or any site really, by Starfighters76, who, if you've been playing a lot of classic games, you've probably used at least one of their maps over the years. At this point, though, I'm fighting this enemy in this one specific room that looks like Audrey 2 from the Shop of Horrors over and over again, as they have a pretty good experience yield until about level 12 for this point in the game. That is technically a little overkill. I think technically the next boss, and by that I mean the first boss, is around level 11. So being around level 10 is probably going to be more than enough, but hey, I like to go a little beyond in the case I can, especially in a game like this where grinding takes literal minutes given how fast it is to kill enemies. If you don't like using maps yourself, I at least recommend making one as you go, because the rooms in this area, while they have unique shapes here and again, can get kind of samey very quickly, especially in the early sections. The path is blocked by rubble from a cave-in. There's a small hole, however, just big enough for a bird.
Has someone come to rescue me? You're not a demon, I hope.
Adol introduced himself.
I'm Flair Rawl, a doctor from Lance. Thank you for coming to my aid. I trust you received my letter. If you had a mattock, you could use it to dig a path through the fallen stones. I don't suppose you have one, though.
Well, guess what? I do indeed! This is why I went to go get that first, as, well, you literally need it a moment later. Adol swung the mattock with all his strength. Damn, those are particularly explosive rocks. Thanks for your help, young man. Might I ask your business here? You seem to be a traveler. Adol told Dr. Flair Rawl all about his arrival on Ys and explained that Lilia had brought him to Lance. Ah, so Lilia came to your aid, did she? That's no surprise. She's got a good heart, that one. Oh, is that letter for me? Oh, dear, this is awful. It seems Lilia's fallen ill. I'm going to need a rotofruit and a salsetta flower in order to cure her, and I'll need them fast. I haven't seen a rotofruit in a long time, but they used to be commonplace out in the ruins of Mundoria. And the salsetta flower only grows in dark areas close to bodies of water. You might find some deeper in the mine, but this is as deep as I'd ever dare go myself. I'm no warrior. Please, Adol, would you look for a rotofruit and a salsetta flower? For Lilia's sake? Lily is a truly sweet girl, though I'm sure you knew that already. I'll do everything in my power to save her, but I'll need you to do the same. Alright. I'm going to head back to the clinic. Remember, we need a salsetta flower and a rotofruit. I believe you can give him a wing to teleport him out immediately, but you don't get anything for doing so. And I'd rather save the wing we bought last time for my own quick escape from here, as I really only like going through this area in one direction, not so much walking back out. And, you know, on top of that, before we leave, I'd rather like to give as many of the books to the statues as I can. Thankfully, the next one isn't too far from where the doctor was, but we also got this chest containing a Claria ring. This is our first accessory in the game. Equipping this makes it so that Adol will actively parry an enemy's attack every now and then. So in the case either you get hit by a projectile or you maneuver around an enemy wrong and get hit, there's a chance it'll just be completely nullified. You will know that happens, I believe, when you hear more of a metallic clang rather than the soft, squishy sounds that happens if you make contact otherwise.
I am the priest Dabby. It is good that you have come, warrior. When trouble arose in the land, Ys was lifted into the sky with powerful magic. With it came the source of all demon kind, unbeknownst to those thereupon. Demons are a byproduct of magic itself. They are the flip side of the coin. With magic there shall always be demons inexorably. To end this correlation we need the goddesses, and so it falls upon you, warrior, to find them.
Something I do find kind of neat is that some of the things the statues say sort of touch on either similar ground or could be considered follow-ups to what their books even say, because Dabby's book, for instance, I think touched on relatively similar ground back in Ys 1 and thus here in Ys 2 as well, if you read the book beforehand. Now, that also gives us a very good indicator of where we are using that specific statue, because now we can come around here to find ourselves this next treasure chest as soon as we survive our encounter with this enemy. There we go. And this one's pretty important, because within it is our first spell, the Fire Magic. This is also the spell you're probably going to use the most in the game. It gives you a projectile attack. Now you can use whatever the confirm button is effectively in the field to fire a fireball straight in front of you. It doesn't have the best range, but it can be surprisingly powerful, especially because you can charge it like it's Mega Man's Mega Buster to do even more. This is going to be your best friend not only if you're low on HP, but also against the most boss fights in the game. One thing worth noting about the MP system in this game, though. The MP bar effectively both acts as your total MP reserve, hence the 73 out of 75 up there at the moment, but it also acts as your cooldown meter, as whenever I say fire a fireball, a part of the screen dims. But will regenerate a second later, so you have to kind of pace out your firings not only to save your MP, but also so you aren't left open too long because you fire too many at once in a row. And I like this a lot because it still makes the relatively powerful and useful fireball magic feel like it actually is something you have to think about how to use rather than just spam firing in front of everything, although charging its shots will be extraordinarily useful against basically every boss fight moving forward once again.
I am the priest Mesa. It is good that you have come, warrior. 700 years ago, Ys was transformed into a massive arc in the sky in hopes of escaping the threat of the demons. At its summit sits Solomon's Shrine. To reach it, you must climb the wall of ice and cross the moat of lava.
Alright, so we can probably already guess the wall of ice is the ice ridge that Lilia brought up, the ice ridge in Noltia. But the moat of lava, that's new. We'll probably come across it in our journey no matter what, call it a hunch. But also nearby is actually our next statue already, 5 of 6.
I am the priest Gemma. It is good that you have come, warrior. As demons were born of the power of magic, they are pitiable creatures with no purpose in life other than to fight and eventually to die. As has ever been the case with all living beings, their existence is dictated by their appearance. However, if you could speak with them, perhaps they would have more to say than expected.
Guess I'll keep that in mind for later. So earlier I brought up that you can kind of do things in slight different orders across Ys 2, and that is sort of true, especially with minor side quests or doing items in certain sub-areas and all that. Like, you could theoretically do a lot of those statues before finding the Matic to help the doctor and all that. But in order to find the 6th and final statue, because it is a decent distance from us at this point, we actually need to find an item at the deepest reaches of Rasteenie Mine to begin with. Just because I can, though, I am grinding these enemies as well, these weird xenomorph-looking dudes, in order to get some more experience. Because, hey, more levels, more power. Level 14 should be where you about top off at this point if you're doing it like I am. And if there's any time I really recommend saving, it's actually right about now. as we are coming up on the first boss fight. And while I think Ys 2's boss fights are, for the most part, much easier than Ys 1 due to the existence of magic, it's always a safe bet to save, especially if you're lower level. So our first boss fight here in Ys 2 is Velagundr. This guy is effectively completely immune to your physical attacks, but he's very vulnerable to the fully charged fire magic. The way he works is that he fires a full spread shot of shots twice in a row whenever you're directly in front of him, and you need to shoot him as a counterattack before you get hit yourself. Do that like 6-7 times in a row and he dies pretty quickly, and like in Ys 1, you get a massive amount of experience for any boss beaten. So go figure, the boss fight is blocking some pretty important stuff. We are effectively at the bottom floor of the mine at this point. In fact, there's also a hidden room over here containing some iron ore left in the box. Now, as we saw several times back at Lance Village, they need some iron, so we should probably take that back to them. Notably, you can actually wait a good chunk of the game to go give that to them, and you'll actually get a lot more out of it, technically. But by the point that we would get that, it's just not worth the wait. But also, beautiful flowers bloom at the water's edge in a dark area. We found ourselves some Celceta flowers that we need in order to give to Dr. Flare. And at this point, I believe if we go back up there, he's already fled to Lance Village. Or at least by the time you head back there next, he'll also be there. Be careful of the enemies down here, though, as because they are past the boss fight, there are some pretty tough ones, especially these knight guys, who will just completely drain your health really quickly if you're not careful. If you're even like another 2 levels below me, they'll do even more to you. The damage ramp up for stats in this game can be kind of ridiculous. But I'm feeling my way in the dark here for 2 reasons. There's actually 2 items in this general side of things. Before I go get the latter one, I actually want to go get the former one. Right up here in this chest lies the second of our 6 spells, the light magic. Well, I do believe it does work a little bit as a torch as well. The main thing this does is actually highlight hidden areas or items across your journey, which means on a repeat playthrough, it's not too useful. For instance, if you actually use it in this room, it'll make the area where the iron ore was a little more obvious to see, as well as another hidden door over here. This is another room we actively need to go to, though, because the chest over here contains the evil bell. We need this in order to progress the plot, so make sure you grab it while you're here. Now, I could just walk out of here to get some extra experience, but because of how the experience ramp up in this game works, it's just not worth my time to do so, so I'm actually going to use my wing to teleport us right back to Lance Village. So we've already done quite a bit in a relatively short time frame over in Rasteenie Mine, and due to that, there's quite a number of people we need to update on some things, but first off, let's go take that iron ore over to the armor shop and see if they can make any actual equipment out of it, as we're gonna need some better armor pretty quickly in this game, just because the base armor is pretty weak. Hey, now, is that the unmistakable glint of iron ore I see, or do my eyes deceive me? Haven't seen iron around here in a long, long time. I bet Laszlo could really use some of that iron for smithing. What do you say? Would you sell it to me? Now, I think he'll say the price in a moment, but if you sell it to him now, you get 3,000 gold, which is a pretty good amount. But if you wait a good chunk of the game, he'll get desperate and double the amount of money he's willing to give you for it to 6,000 gold, which sounds nice, but at that point, the defense is better than the money you'd get, so I'd recommend just selling the ore now, honestly. Thanks, this is just what we need to make some quality merchandise. But now we're going to throw most of that money right back at him by upgrading our sword and shield. Starting off the longsword. It's a little on the heavy side with the long blade. This is definitely what you want if you're planning to do some serious fighting with the demons. I'll let it go for a cool 1,000. Yes, please. And next up, we're going to upgrade ourselves from the wooden shield over to the small shield. It's not too big as shields go, but it's strong and easy to handle. If you have the skill to use it, it should suit your needs well, and I think 1,500 is a fair asking price. Yes, indeedly do, it is. Once we get those equipped, we're going to be jump cutting to the next store over in order to get another wing from Jade's Oddities, as like I said when we first got our first one. For the first good chunk of the game, you always want to have one in your inventory, just a quick teleport back to the nearest village in case you need to heal up your health or restock on items. But even then, later on, there's still a decent reason to have a wing lying around just in case, but we'll cover that when that time eventually comes. With our shopping done, we should go and take those items over to the doctor's clinic and see what we can do with them. I just get exhausted so easily these days. My constitution is, well, exhausting. Thanks for your concern, but really, I'll be fine in just a moment. This happens a lot. Now see, Lilia, shouldn't you be concerned that it does happen a lot? Like, weak constitution is one thing, but I feel like that goes a step beyond.
You did it, Adol. With the Celceta and the Rotafruit, I can finally mix the medicine Lilia so desperately needs. You made it in plenty of time, too. She'll be just fine, I'm sure of it. We'll begin mixing the cure right away. Please wait just a bit, would you? Done. Please take this to Benoa right away. Tell her to have Lilia drink it.
That's one of our several tasks here in Lance Village done, only seemingly 2 to go, maybe 3.
This will completely cure Lilia's illness. You know I never grow tired of telling people good news like that. Quickly now! We may have plenty of time, but that's no reason to dilly-dally. Get over to Benoa, ASAP.
All right, I mean, it's not like she's not just, like, next door. You could probably throw it through her window and she could catch it, considering she's always sitting next to the damn thing.
Is that the medicine to cure my daughter's illness? Truly? Thank the goddesses. You have no idea what a hero you are to her and to me as well. Truly, with this medicine, Lilia shall live to see another day.
With that said, while we're here, we're going to talk to her about a couple of other things, because not every dialogue with a character like this updates as you go through the game, but if a character has a speech menu, some of their items will update as you go through.
Now we have the medicine, and Lilia is saved. Thank you, Adol. You're like an angel of mercy.
No, it's nothing, really. Adol just really likes saving people. It is seemingly just a hobby he has. But with that done, I guess let's get out of here and on to our next plot objective.
How can I ever thank you, Adol? With this medicine, Lilia's illness will truly be a thing of the past.
Onwards to adventure! Oh.
Adol. I'm so sorry. I know I shouldn't have been eavesdropping. I had no idea my life was in danger. Did you really risk your life in the old Rasteenie Mine just to save me? I didn't know. I'm truly, truly touched, Adol. Thank you. Lilia. Mother. Well, don't just stand there. Come on in. I have something for you from Adol and Dr. Flare. Okay.
Benoa gave the medicine to Lilia. Instantly, all the color returned to Lilia's face.
Mother, Adol. What happened? I feel more alive than I've ever felt before. It's like I could run a marathon. Lilia, oh, thank the goddesses. Thank you, Adol and Dr. Flare. My daughter is alive. She's alive. Thank you so much, Adol. I knew the whole time. And I did wonder if I was actually going to die, if my long, happy life would be cut short. So I was trying to focus on the happiest things I could. I figured if I were to die, why obsess over it? I mean, if I went around moping all the time, the only thing that would do is make my mother sad and make me feel guilty. Lilia. Thank you so much, Adol. I have a little something for you. I thought perhaps you might find a use for it. Take it with my blessings.
And for doing that, we get the return magic. This is why you won't always need a wing around, but it's good to still have one.
Supposedly that wand's been imbued with the magic of Hadal, the governing priest of Earth. It's bestowed Hadal's protection upon my father's family for generations. I can only hope it'll do the same for you.
Notably, for doing that, we do get some experience, and for me, it was enough for a level. So the return magic is a quick travel spell. Any town or town-adjacent place we visit throughout the game, we can blink back to in the blink of an eye by using it. With that said, it still does cost MP, so if you overuse magic spells, you're not going to be able to use it, and that's why I recommend still having a wing around at all times. But now time for one of the funny little things with Ys 2. You can just light NPCs on fire, and they will react, and usually the reactions are pretty funny, like this is the 7th most painful thing I've ever felt. There is notably an achievement for doing this to villagers 50 times total. Help, help, my ass is aflame is another favorite of mine. I showcase quite a number throughout the area here, and if you want to get the achievement, it is pretty fast, but I ultimately just stopped doing it at that point and head back to the ruins of Mundoria because I want to brave the depths of Rasteenie Mine once again, and in specific, head back to the room where we first got ourselves some iron ore. As if we go back there after delivering the first piece of it, we get something else. Upon checking the box more carefully, Adol found another piece of iron ore. So we can now take this once again back to the armory and get another 3,000 gold. Pretty good deal while we're here. And plus I figured while I'm here, might as well grind out another level because the enemies around here aren't awful for it, frankly. Just to showcase it, equip the return magic, press the spell button, the same menu comes up, and we can teleport away. This is, again, good for basically using any kind of rest point, like using Banoa's house, but also throughout the game, if you want to get your healing items restocked in any form, be it the herbs, the apples, or even the MP restoring items like the marrow flowers or rotafruits, between the trees and all that in Lance Village itself, as well as the respawning rotafruit over in the ruins of Mundoria, Lance Village is the best place in the game to do that, just period. But while we're here, I figured might as well use that money to get ourselves the next armor upgrade, as that'll keep our survivability up pretty high for the next little bit. But with that, I'm gonna need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 4, we're gonna once again brave the depths of somewhere around here in order to hopefully find the 6th statue so we can use the final book of Ease on it. See you guys then.